Hey guys, welcome back to Startup Central. So you're probably wondering if this is the time to buy Bitcoin now that we're seeing a lot of financial chaos around the world. And in this video, I'm going to try to answer this question and try to provide you with useful information so you can make the best decision with your investments. So without further ado, let's get started. So if you have been living anywhere else than under a rock, you probably know that three major crypto banks had gone bust in the last few days. They are Silvergate Bank, Silicon Valley Bank, and Signature Bank. Now, of those three, two of them were really important as an on-ramp to buy crypto. And those were Signature and Silicon Valley Bank. Once they were closed by the US government, the crypto industry is asking themselves, how are we going to bring more money into the crypto space? And please hold that thought because we're going to be talking about this towards the end of the video. But first, I want to talk to you about the financial chaos that is going on around the world. So the first situation is with the bailout of these three banks by the US government. Now, how are they accomplishing this? Well, they announced they're going to be, basically saving all the investors' money. People who had savings in these banks, usually they were covered by the FDIC up to $250,000, and traditionally just $125,000 if you were a single account holder. But since they were, especially Silvergate Bank, Silicon Valley Bank, they were so big that if they went broke, it would cause chaos in the United States. So Biden decided to bail them out. And how are they going to be doing this? It was basically printing money, more money. So as we all know, printing more money will cause inflation. And inflation means that the purchasing power of the US dollar will go down, essentially making the US dollar less valuable. Now, this is not only happening in the US, this is also happening in Europe, namely in Switzerland. And this is only one bank. I'm going to tell you about one single bank that we already know since some months ago that is going broke. And this is Credit Suisse. Now, Credit Suisse was about to go broke, and if it did go bust, it would take with them almost $500 billion in Swiss francs. So the Swiss National Bank, which is the central bank of Switzerland, they just announced a loan for around $50 billion to try to save that bank. And I mean try to save, guys. It doesn't mean it will save Credit Suisse. Now, these are just the public institutions that are going broke or are having dire financial problems. But we know that other banks around the world, major banks, are also in harsh financial situations. One of them is BBVA in Spain, which is one of the largest financial institutions around the world. They have branches in the US, in Europe, in Latin America, and elsewhere. So we haven't heard much about these other banks, but I mean, guys, if this is a financial pandemic, contagion will spread to other financial institutions. So will something really bad happen? Will we go into a depression or a big major crisis? I don't know exactly, but I will show you a couple of opinions from financial experts. And once we read them, we're going to come back and try to get to conclusions. So I'm going to share my browser with you so we can follow along. And this first opinion is by Larry Fink. If you don't know who Larry Fink is, he is the CEO of the largest hedge fund, which is called BlackRock. So they hold around $1 trillion in investments by people who try to keep their money productive with them. And Larry Fink basically says that the collapse of Silicon Valley Bank and Silvergate banks and all these three banks may be the start of a slow-rolling crisis. So slow-rolling crisis includes this kind of virus, financial virus, spreading to other financial institutions in the US. So I'm not going to bore you with all the article, But basically, he says we are only seeing the tip of the iceberg. Now, let's go to another expert. This guy is Ray Dalio. And if you don't know who he is a very successful investor, much in the tune of Larry Fink. And what he's saying is that we are seeing the cracks of the financial system around the world. So we all know that fiat is not the best way to save your money because it is inherently an inflation-based system. And by that I mean that if inflation didn't exist, the financial system would not exist as it is right now. So it's pre-programmed. But one thing is when you see inflation of 2%, and another is when you actually go and see the real inflation rate, like in the US. If you check your supermarket bills or your energy bills 1 year ago, we're talking about around 30% inflation. That's the real inflation. So 1/3 of your money is just evaporating. So these two financial experts who know really about what they're talking about, they say this is not over. So even though we are seeing bailouts by both central banks, the Swiss central bank and the central bank in the US, experts say this is not over and this might be getting larger and larger in terms of becoming a larger financial crisis and spreading around the world. So that said, what is a good place to store your money? So we all know that during times of inflation and crises like this, assets are the best way to save your money from being lost in inflation and losing its purchasing value. So the most used asset is real estate, but the downside is that it's not really liquid. And if you want to, let's say, move to another country, you can actually not carry your house and place it, although there are exceptions, but you cannot put it in another country, carry it in an airplane, and that's that. So you first have to sell it, and if the whole country is in a financial crisis, it's going to be hard to sell that asset. Another option is metals like gold and silver. And traditionally, people will store their money in those metals in times of situations like this global financial crisis. And they're not a bad idea, right? A lot of people do store their wealth in these two metals. However, the best way to go with this is buy the actual metal, not buying ETFs on the stock markets. So you have the same problem. How do you carry gold and silver around? And if you're not even moving, well, it's easily, if people go into your home and they know you're holding gold or silver, they might be tempted to steal it. So that takes us to one of our favorite assets, and that is Bitcoin. However, guys, the demise of these three banks is making it a lot more hard to buy Bitcoin, because how do you move your money from the traditional finance system, like traditional banks, to the crypto space? We all know that a lot of exchanges are no longer accepting incoming transfers from banks because they used to work with Signature Bank and with Silvergate, and they're gone. So we will be doing another video in the short future on what options do we have to buy Bitcoin. But if you already have money in the crypto space, then you're probably wondering, should I sell my stablecoins or not? And I'm going to try to answer that also in this video. And here is my conclusion, and we might wear a tinfoil cap, but I see that the Fed and the US government are no longer happy with the idea of people selling their US dollars and buying Bitcoin and crypto in general. So they're making it really hard for people to do so, with regulations, with taking over financial institutions friendly to crypto. And that is not only happening in the US. The president of the BIS, which is the Bank of International Settlements, Agustin Carstens, is also a foe of crypto, and he's trying to push the same agenda into the countries that are part of this BIS. So probably in your country, it's going to be happening soon that it's going to be hard to buy Bitcoin. So if you have money in crypto already, should you sell your stablecoins or should you stay in stablecoins? I'm going to tell you, I'm not a financial advisor, but I'm going to tell you what I did. I had seen the cracks from a few months ago. I mean, it was easy to see that the US government was introducing their own CBDC. And if they want to make it successful, then their competitors are the regular stablecoins. Now, they are, BUSD is no longer going to be minted. We all know that USDC lost its peg because it was tied to one of these banking institutions that failed. So there are not many stablecoins left. We have DAI and we have BUSD. USDP is gone. So basically it's DAI and USDT. USDT is abroad. They are kind of shady in their business dealings. So in my opinion, stablecoins right now are not the best place to store your crypto or your wealth. So what I did some months ago, I sold all my stablecoins and bought Bitcoin because, as we all know, Bitcoin is out of the reach of governments. I mean, they cannot print it, they cannot steal it. It's going to be hard for them unless they do it with regulation, which we haven't seen Bitcoin being attacked as is Ethereum or other crypto. So that's what I did. I think crypto is poised to go on a bull run pretty soon because of many factors. One, because the value of the main currencies is going down due to inflation, due to the loans they took from COVID. And basically that's why. If your country is printing money, then the value of your currency is going down. And the main one is the US dollar. So that's one reason. The more the dollar loses the value, other assets will inflate, and that includes Bitcoin. So another thing that makes me believe that we're going to be going into a bull run is that the halving event is close by now. And usually by this period in the previous halving events, we had already seen a bull run. And if you take into consideration that Bitcoin reached a low of $16,000 per Bitcoin, and we're now around $25,000, we are already kind of seeing a bull run. Although, guys, and nothing goes in a straight line upwards. So it might take some time to reach peak Bitcoin of this cycle. And potentially that's going to be happening just after the halving event. But if you get Bitcoin right now, my opinion, and again, this is not financial advice, in the medium term, you're going to be seeing more returns with that investment than what you will be seeing by putting your money in a bank account. And that is not even accounting for bank accounts being risky right now. So that's in general the information I wanted to share with you. That's my point of view. And I'm almost sure that we're going to be seeing a bull run soon. Bitcoin might go down to $18,000 again, but that's going to be a prelude for it going up to $69,000, which it was the previous high, and even further than that. Homes are going down. So I think that this is the best option to store wealth during the times of chaos and crisis. My only concern, guys, is if the US government and other governments make it hard to sell your Bitcoin and put the money back in the financial system, it might cause a little problems. And that might happen only while they put out their CBDCs. And we all know that a lot of countries are already testing CBDCs. So that might complicate things for only, let's say, a year or two. So without further information to share, I hope you liked this video. If you did, please click on the like button and share this video with everyone who you think it might be useful for. I hope to see you in the next video. Bye-bye now.